Zach, let's just deal with Monday. It's always going to be difficult going somewhere like that. As an experience, can you use that to try and, if you get in that situation again, in that type of atmosphere, so that, it did, like, I'm not saying players froze, but you didn't do yourselves justice in the way that you have most of the season?
Yeah, of course. They're a good team. They showed it. And yeah, that's the level that we want to be getting to, and we've done that to teams this year as well. And like you say, we didn't put our best foot forward, and we got to make sure that we take the sort of clean, technical, tactical aspects that they had and they implemented on the game, and we take that into firstly Saturday and hopefully beyond. Because
it's one of those where in the past, sort of good and bad results have really affected the team's confidence. You've been part of sides that have done that. This year doesn't seem to have been quite the same way.
No. I think we've shown that all year, to be honest. We've been good at sort of bouncing back, and like you say, it's coming from a belief in ourselves and an inner belief in individuals, and like you say, it's we got to make sure that we put it right and take what we need to from it and park what we don't need.
And you've obviously been here for a good while. This is the closest the club has been in a long time to getting where you all want to go. How does that feel on the inside?
Yeah, nice. It's good. I mean, obviously, the messages have always been live in the present. Cliches, the sort of take it day by day. I know you've probably heard that a million times, but it is true. And that's something that I'm trying to do as well. And like you said, I've been here a long time, and this is a good group, and we are in a good position. If you sort of said 10 months ago, whatever, if we could be in this position, it would, we'd bite your hand off. So it's definitely an opportunity. We have to just sort of play our game.
And that's definitely the right thing to say and the right thing to do. Is the reality of doing that more difficult because you know how close it is?
Yeah, of course. We can want, and we can out there, do what we want to do and implement what we want to do, go through all the tactics and the game plan. But I think there's not been many times this season where we were able to do that straight away, because every game is so different. And it's going to be obviously a tough game because of the situation that they're in as well. So it's going to be hopefully exciting.
Well, fingers crossed that is, and I think not only there's bound to be nerves in the players, and that's never a bad thing, but even amongst the fans, because it's so close now, they're so desperate for you to do it that it's kind of it's holding your nerve collectively, isn't it?
Of course, but they've been great. It doesn't. There's not been many games where I felt a nervous sort of atmosphere. It's been more of an encouragement and a positive atmosphere, and I hopefully that's the same on Saturday, and we can all be in a good spot come 3:00 or whatever it will be.
And do you allow yourself to dream about winning, getting into the playoffs even further than that, or is that sort of pushed to the back of your mind?
Yeah, for sure, push that to the back. Allow you guys to do that, and we'll sort of solely focus on the here and now.
Okay, so in terms of keys for Saturday against Preston, other than winning, what do you need to get right?
Just make sure that we're all on the same page, and like I said, the sort of clean technical and tactical aspects of it. And we're at home, so we want to make sure that we're dominating the game, and we want to make sure that we understand the sort of game that might be coming from Preston. It's always a tough game. It's always a physical game. And make sure that we're up to the races for that.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Zach, if you start Saturday, that's every game of the season. How are you feeling on a fitness level, personal level at the moment?
How are you feeling? I'm good. I feel good. I feel good, and like I said, like I've said before, hopefully it continues, and beyond Saturday hopefully. But it's a situation that it's been a lot of football this year. Cup and league, it's been great, and I'm relishing it, and long may it continue.
Particularly for you and Rob, given the injuries, you've had to get through a lot of work. Is that a challenge you almost relish when you're short on numbers and you've got to dig in a bit?
Yeah, of course. We've, I mean, it's no secret the sort of injuries that we've had, and to key areas, obviously, and it's just sort of creates a backs against the wall sort of environment, and you feel the support from the lads that have sort of been unfortunate and got injuries, and that everyone in this building is willing you on. So it is a nice sort of, it's a nice atmosphere to build, because it's like it creates a little bubble of us against the world, I guess, you know, and it not sort of said like that, but you know what I mean, like that sort of environment, and yeah, it's a good feeling for sure.
Just from the outside looking in, it does seem like a really close group. Is it? Yeah. How does it compare to other City teams you've been parts of? Yeah,
I mean, the lads, we've not had bad eggs here. You know, I don't personally think we've had a bad egg here for a while. So you know, it's a great group. Of course, it is. We are super close. We are tight knit. But I feel like we've had that before as well. It's just clicked a little better this year, and you know, it's been enjoyable, been good.
I think I've asked you about your role as one of the senior players, which seems mental to say, give it. Yeah. But when you've had those games where you've had to bounce back from results, does your role change in that as one of the senior players?
Yeah and no. I think there's the sort of the leaders in the team. I feel like most people can step up in that role. You know, we've got a lot of young players in the team, but in senior positions maybe is the best way to put it. I don't know sort of the right way to put it there, but yeah, as long as we're just sort of making sure that nobody's too down, nobody's too if you can tell if someone's carrying on to, for example, a Monday night, if anyone's carrying on to that today or whatever, you know, just make sure they get out of that rut maybe and just put it behind you and crack on.
Seems like there's a sense of accountability as well, that there's players willing to admit when they make a mistake.
For sure, yeah, for sure. You know, it is a situation where I think this year, if someone was to have a go at you on the pitch or have a go at you out there or whatever, you don't tend to hear too many arguments back. You kind of just go, yeah, all right, fair enough, and crack on, because you know that nobody's doing it from a bad place. You know, there's no malice in what anyone's saying. They're just trying to help the team and help them, and yeah, go forward.
Does that stem from Liam and Chris? Because obviously you've done quite a few managers here. You seem so level-headed, the pair of them. Does that stem from the top down, do you think?
Yeah, of course. You know, they set the tone, and you know we follow, which is the natural order of things. You know, and yeah, like you say, level-headed, and that stems down into the group.
I know Ed mentioned it. I saw a photo on social media the other day of you in, I think, your academy days, decked out in the playoff kit from 2007.
Yeah.
It's been a hell of a journey, hasn't it, to get to the place where you are now?
Yeah, for sure. No, it's been a long time, and I was at the game actually. I was at the Wembley game, so again, not thinking too far ahead, but yeah, it's been a long time for sure.
Is that something you'd like? Of course, you want to put it right, but you'd like to. That's a good thing incentive to drive you on.
Of course, yeah, of course. I think everybody knows what the aim is now. You know, we can't ignore it. We're not sort of sitting there going, oh no, who knows? Like we obviously know what the aim is, but we just have to make sure we've got the right the right mindset and the right focus on the day.
On a footballing level, you've been moved about quite a bit as a result of the injuries. How have you found that? Is it easy to get that sort of consistency when you're playing on the right or the left? Or
yeah, I think I don't mind, to be honest. Obviously, naturally right-footed, so being on the right feels a bit more comfortable, but I don't mind being on the left. I don't mind playing on the left. It opens up different passes, opens up different avenues that I can kind of take, and I think the continuity of playing as much as I have this year has kind of helped the ease of that. I think it's a bit more difficult if you're chopping and changing but you're not playing as frequently, because it feels a bit more unnatural, but to be honest, I know the roles of if I was to step into midfield, I would know the role that I'd have to do there, and I think that's something that's been set out from, you know, the group now. We kind of know everybody's roles and know what we need from them and know what's needed from that position. So yeah, it is. I know what you mean by it could seem quite difficult, sort of chopping and changing, but I think for myself, because I've played a lot of football this year, it kind of feels like the continuity is there and it's not too difficult to do.
We've asked Liam, we've asked the players about messages for the fans this season. I think we kind of know the answer we're expecting now, but if you had a message from heading into Saturday, what would it be?
Yeah, just loud and proud. It's go time. Like let's be positive. Let's, you know, see what happens in the game and just make sure that we can hear you 24/7 from minute 1 to 98 probably.
Cheers, thank you.
Zach, I don't want to dwell obviously too much on 2008, but what do you remember of that day?
I remember thinking, wow, and then that quickly turned. But yeah, no, obviously it was a great occasion and an amazing atmosphere at Wembley and all of that stuff. But yeah, the ending obviously wasn't great, but you know, such is life. And like you said earlier on, it's been a long time, and yeah, we'll see.
Was it an aspirational day for you then? Did it?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I was in the academy at the time, so it was like wow, like this is what first team football is. This is what professional football is. Playing on this stage and all this stuff. So, yeah, of course, it was a definite sort of inspirational day. I was a fan, so I was taking it in as much as possible as well. But yeah, for sure.
And I guess this is what the highest achieving Bristol City team you've been in your career, is it?
Yeah, I guess so. It's yeah, league-wise, probably, yeah, for sure.
And what does that felt like after so many years of establishing yourself as a championship player to now have a shot at this?
Yeah, it feels good. To be honest with you, I haven't had like too many moments to sort of sit and think about it. We've obviously had a lot of football this year, so it's been sort of the mindset of roll on to the next and just keep it rolling and keep going with it. So yeah, I haven't had too many moments to sort of sit there and reflect on it. But it has, we are in a, like I said earlier on, if 10 months ago we were in Portugal in pre-season, if we said, right, fast forward to 1st of May and, we'd snap your hand off to be in this position. So absolutely, you kind of have to be aware of the occasion and aware of the opportunity. And it would be it'd be amazing to get it done, secured.
Do you remember if there was a point in the season where you suddenly felt we are genuinely in this race now?
Not like a standout moment, no. It was just putting the wins together and putting just good performances together and making sure that we're, just seeing little differences to last year maybe. Like we touched on earlier on about sort of bouncing back from results and getting big sort of back-to-back wins has sort of just stood us in good stead really. And after the game kind of going, you know what, like maybe last year that may not have happened, or maybe so-and-so that may not have happened, but we're in a good spot as a group and as a team, and it's kind of working for us now. So let's relish it and keep it rolling. And
I've sensed a lot of love for Bristol City around the football world because the team's never been in the Premier League before. Have you heard from sort of former teammates or anything like that?
Yeah, kind of. Obviously, some of them we're playing against, so they're not as happy, I guess. No, but yeah, I've speak to certain people here and there if I don't know if I bump into them or if I text them if we play against them, whatever, and they kind of say like, congrats, like go get it done and all this sort of stuff. So yeah, I think there obviously there's a lot of admiration and a lot of eyes on it just because, like you say, it's not happened for a while. But again, I think they've probably been in this situation and been in this kit, so they know that it's a great club, it's a great place to be. So to get it done would be amazing.